Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the My Pets Wellness Weekly Wellness Podcast. I'm your host this week, Dr. Rebekah, and we have joining us again, Dr. Rodney, Director of Wellness and Personal Growth. So, Dr. Rodney, thank you as always for being here with us.
I love this.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining us.
Yeah, so this month, our podcasts have really focused on self-care in kind of a variety of ways that folks are able to practice self-care. I think part of that is making sure when you're starting on the self-care journey that you're setting realistic goals for yourself and being kind to yourself if you're not able to meet these goals immediately, because it can be tough incorporating all of these different things into your daily life. I guess my first question is, why does it sometimes seem so easy to hate on yourself for a perceived failure if you're not able to meet a goal?
I'm not afraid of failure because failure is a backdoor to success. It's the way we learn how to do things the right way. We always have to fail before we can succeed. That's usually the way things happen. But some people just get really afraid of the failure, and then they don't even make an attempt to set a goal or chase after a goal.
Right.
And then they can't make progress in their life.
So it's really that fear of failure that's often the hindrance to actually setting up goals. What recommendations do you have for setting goals? I've heard acronyms before, like you have to set SMART goals and, they're measurable and attainable and all of these. What recommendations do you have for actually setting goals?
I like the SMART method, specific and manageable and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're interested in that, you can Google it. It's a pretty good method. You can't hit a target that you can't see. What the goal is setting a target that you could see. If you don't have a target, you don't know what to do.
Right.
Now, you have to be careful in how you set those goals because they do have to be specific. They can't be too general. They do have to be measurable or you don't know if you're getting there. Okay? All of those methods are an important part of it. They have to be attainable. If you set a goal that's too difficult, okay, you'll never attain it.
Set yourself up for failure.
You're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Also on that, you can't set too many goals all at once because then you get overwhelmed by the number of goals that you set. It's better to set 1 or 2 or 3 goals gradually, attain each one, and then bring on more. If you start out with 10 goals, every day you don't know which goal to focus on today, right? And you're never going to attain any of them. So, that's the whole parts of those methods that are really effective and helpful.
Great. So I know the SMART is specific and measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. So it really is making that target that you can see. And then also it sounds like setting some kind of time frame for the timeline that you'd like to reach that goal as well.
Yeah, the realistic expectations are important because if you set something that's not realistic, you'll never get there. The time is important because without a time target, you'll never get there. Most people are pretty good procrastinators. I'm kind of good at it.
Me too.
I'll put it off to the last minute.
Yeah.
When you set the time, that motivates you to pursue the goal, which is attainable. By the way, if you set what you think is an attainable goal and you're not making it, so here I'm trying to get there, you suddenly realize it's not attainable. I'm in trouble. Don't give up.
Right.
You readjust the goal that's unattainable to a reasonable goal that you can attain.
Gotcha.
Then when you get there, you can raise it a little bit more and eventually you might get up there. What most people do is, here's my goal. Oh, I'm going to lose 300 pounds.
Right.
That's 50 pounds. I'm stuck at 20. I'll just give up trying. And then you're back up to 50 pounds.
Right.
Bring it down. I lost 20 pounds. I can lose 5 more.
Right.
Right? See what I'm saying?
That makes sense.
Then you might work your way up. So you've got to be constantly reevaluating the targets that you set. I might have thought they were attainable. I might have thought they were realistic. It doesn't turn out to be that way. Don't give up. Say, okay, I learned something here. I set a goal too high. I'll just adjust it. And then when you start meeting those smaller goals. So my suggestion is when you go to set a goal, don't go for the moon. Just start here.
Yeah.
You might have in your mind, I want to get to the moon, but I'll just start here. And then I'll get here, and eventually you'll get to the moon.
You can take steps to get there.
Right.
It doesn't have to be all at once, it sounds like. And it's okay if you're, if you realize, I shot for the moon on this one, to reevaluate and then make slight changes so that you can take those baby steps to get to the moon. So it sounds like, as far as staying motivated when the goal seems, impossible, if you start on something and it seems like it's just going to be impossible to actually achieve, the way to stay motivated is to recognize that you can change course and you can modify it and take baby steps to get there.
I can either readjust the expectations or I might pivot and go in a different direction.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's just a recognition that my goal was too much.
Gotcha.
When you quit because you have that shame and guilt thing going on.
Right.
and there's no shame and guilt. At least you had a target to hit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So let's say if I'm learning how to be an archer, I suck at it. Anyhow, I've got to have a target there to hit.
Right.
If I start trying to hit the target from 50 yards away and I can't even hit anywhere near the target, am I going to give up trying? Or I'm going to move up to 25 feet so it's a little bit shorter and I can hit the little sucker.
Yeah.
And then when I hit it at 25 feet, I can back up to 30 feet. You get what I'm saying? That's that imagery that you have in your mind is the way you have to look at it. I prefer you just started from 10 foot to begin with because you're going to feel good when you hit the middle of the bullseye.
Right.
And you'll get better and better at it as you go back.
So it's almost like there's a sense of practice that's involved in these goals as well, is that if you set kind of a more achievable goal, you get to practice how to actually meet that goal so that you're able to then achieve potentially higher and more lofty goals after that. So it's almost like there's this sense of practicing. And once you are checking off those boxes of like, all right, I've reached this goal and the next goal, it almost becomes easier as you go along to reach those higher goals.
Right.
So that's interesting.
So again, 50 pounds. Oh, I failed. Shame again. I'll give up.
Right.
No, you didn't fail. You found out that it was too high of a goal. Adjust it.
Right.
Now, don't make it 1 pound. Anybody could lose a pound.
Right.
So again, attainable, reasonable.
Yeah.
I have to be able to measure it. There has to be a time limit.
Absolutely.
Or I'll take 10 years to lose 50 pounds. That's not fast enough, probably.
Right.
Right what I'm saying?
Good to have all of that kind of at the beginning when you're planning all of this out.
Right.
Do you feel like involving others in your goals and telling other people what your goals are brings a sense of accountability? Or do you think that just increases pressure on people that they feel and that they're putting on themselves?
Well, you can interpret it as pressure, but we need to be accountable for our goals. Somebody reminding us of what they are, not in a snarky way or a judgmental and critical way, because the accountability is what keeps us on our journey towards reaching the goal. Without the accountability, we might get too busy. We might lose sight of our goal. We might forget about it. And on many goals that I've seen people set, that's exactly what happens. They start out like a house of fire. They're doing it every day, but then they get busy. And they stop doing it every day and they're doing it 2 days a week and then they're doing it 1 day a week. And pretty soon you don't even remember what the goal was. Somebody keeping you on the track to just remind you, hey, I know you've been busy, but are you doing that ever again? Is the accountability when it's done the right way, not with judgment and criticism, not with shame and guilt. Shame on you for not going to the gym today.
That's not accountability.
Empathy and sympathy for the difficulty of getting there. But you can do it if it's a measurable and attainable goal.
So it sounds like it's important if you're able to find some accountability partner. If you have a goal that you want to set, finding someone that you can talk to about it or just kind of giving them a heads up that that's something that you're intending to do. If they're empathetic, if they are sympathetic, if they're kind and they can communicate in a way that doesn't have guilt and shame attached to it, it sounds like that's a really big boost for anyone who's wanting to set a goal, especially if it's something that takes a little bit of time, might be a little bit harder to achieve. Having that accountability, it sounds like really helps.
You're exactly right, Rebekah. The sympathy and empathy encouraged me to go on. When somebody judges and criticizes me, and it does the reverse.
Right.
I feel the shame and the guilt, and I just stop.
Well,
I feel like I'm a failure.
That's demotivating. Yeah. Absolutely. Speaking of feeling like a failure, if you're not achieving your goals, if you set a goal for yourself and you aren't hitting that metric, how do you go from that kind of, knee-jerk reaction of, oh, I failed, I'm just not going to try this anymore, I'm not going to put any more effort into it? How do you take from that and get to a place of, it's okay, I'm doing my best, I'm going to adjust my goal? How do you practice more self-kindness when you feel like you're not quite meeting the goals that you've set for yourself?
Well, I would say this is related to some of the other things we talked about this month. If you try to keep it inside, it's going to be difficult to make that adjustment. Mm-hmm. That's where you go and start talking to somebody and saying, I'm really trying. I'm not getting there. I don't want to feel like a failure. I'm not a failure. Do you have any suggestions on how I might do it differently? Because maybe the approach that you're taking in getting to your goal is part of the problem. So that's when you reach out for help. Mm-hmm. If you don't reach out for help, you'll probably stop it altogether. So now I would say the helping person might not necessarily be the accountability person. Right. It could be, but it might be somebody else that you bounce that off of. Why? Because your accountability person evidently isn't helping you exactly to do what they want because they don't know what to say to you. Right. So you go and ask for another opinion. This is what I've been trying. It's not working for me. Do you have another suggestion on what I could try that might be more effective?
Gotcha.
That's what I would do.
So it sounds like having kind of a support network in this process of developing and creating goals and achieving the goals is super helpful for a lot of people, especially when those goals are challenging. And then to remember to practice self-kindness.
Yes.
And to understand that you are doing your best. And again, we chatted a little bit about guilt and shame last time. We'll be talking about that next month. But understanding that if you're doing your best and you are trying to reach these goals, that's not something that you need to be ashamed of. It may just be something that you need to reset expectations.
Yeah, because at least you set a goal.
Absolutely.
You know how many people don't have any goals?
I'm sure
and
a lot,
never pursue any progress in their life?
Right.
They just keep doing the same thing over and over again, making no progress in their life, and they don't even know what to work on because they're goalless. At least you set one.
You took the first step.
You took the first step.
Be proud of that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think this has been really helpful, just chatting about goals, because I think all of us have goals in our lives that, we probably have set for ourselves or have been thinking about setting for ourselves. So I really appreciate all of your insight and tips. For everyone at home, thank you so much for joining us this week. Feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and you can also follow us on Spotify. Thanks so much again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Take care.
Bye.